Hey everyone, I got a brand new plane to add to the collection, and it is the Hobbyzone Sport Cub S from Horizon Hobby. As you can see, it is it's another ultra micro, so it's going to be considerably smaller than like the popular Hobbyzone Super Cub that I learned to fly on originally, and way smaller than my E-Flight Apprentice that I'm working on now. So with this being an ultra micro, it kind of gives me the idea, or kind of gives me the option to fly in a lot smaller areas than I can get away with my Apprentice, which needs a very large open field and is a pretty quick little bird to fly around. So I'm looking for something that I can fly in a small area, maybe like a baseball diamond or a soccer field. I also have a pond behind my house that eventually I'd like to be able to get good enough where I can put floats on this guy and fly it off from the pond right behind my house. Because a lot of times what happens, especially in the summer, the wind doesn't die down until just before dusk, and you have a very small window to try to get into the air. And with something like the Apprentice, by the time the wind calms down to I can go flying, I pack up everything, throw it in the car, drive out to the field where it's large enough for me to fly at, and by then the sun's already gone down or it's too dark to really fly. So hopefully this is going to give me an option to be able to fly both in my own backyard or at a number of the small parks and baseball diamonds that are within just a few minute drive. And I want to learn how to fly the F4U Corsair Ultra Micro, and I think this is a great way to get used to flying the Ultra Micros. Plus, it's a Cub, and everybody loves Cubs. So let's get this thing opened up. Once again, just as with the other Ultra Micros, you get a nice handle on here so you can actually carry the airplane inside here, so it's nice and safe. So this is the bind and fly version as well. This is not the ready to fly. I have my DX4e controller from my Apprentice that I'll be using to fly this. So let's get this thing open. All right, well, once again, it's a pretty good sized box. The airplane sits diagonal, has a lot of open room because being bind and fly, you don't have the receiver or the transmitter that would sit here. So it's nice and open. We got some nice protection. Let's see if turn it around a little bit. We got some nice foam protectors here that kind of go on over the top of the airplane to make sure that it stays secure. So everything is very well packaged and everything fits very nice, and it's real easy to see how it goes back in here after you get it out. So we'll just pull these things off. There we go. Airplane is now free. Also included in the box is the 1S 150 milliamp per hour battery, which these are very small. I have to get used to these guys being around instead of my Apprentice battery. And I also get a USB charger, which actually charges fairly quickly. I have one of these from another aircraft, and I'm very surprised at how quickly this guy charges. So I may have to pick up a couple more of these to do a couple batteries at the same time. So as usual, the instructions are on the bottom of the box, or taped to the back here. You can see them back in there. I'm not going to bother getting them out. A tip for everyone considering the instructions: I actually download the instructions pretty far in advance before getting the airplane, and I keep a copy of the instructions in PDF form on my phone, like in Dropbox or another program like that. That way, if I'm at the field, let's say I don't bring the box with me, I just take the airplane and throw it in the back of my car, I can look up anything I need to find on the instructions. I can look at it on my phone. It also gives me an opportunity to read the instructions in advance before I even get the airplane. So this is a little tip. That way you don't have to always carry a document around with you. You have it on your phone. So, all right. Well, here is the Sport Cub S, and it's a beautiful little airplane. It really is. It's very well detailed. It's all foam construction. It's got very large ailerons on the back here. So it's a good looking bird. I'm very impressed with it. It does have the optional floats, which attach into here, as well as up into here. I'll probably be getting those at a later date. But yeah, it's a good looking airplane. It's actually a little bit bigger than the Corsair, but smaller than the like the V-17. So it should really, especially with the coloring on here, should be a lot easier to see and actually practice with, rather than like a dark warbird. So yeah, it's very cool. The servos are exposed on the bottom of the wings, so I may want to get some covers for those, because I will be flying in and off grass. But yeah, overall, it's a some really really good looking birds. So something that's kind of neat is somebody locally owns a real Sport Cub S that is almost a twin to this. I've seen it flying around a number of times, and it's kind of neat to have a miniature version of it of my own to play with. So for those not familiar with exactly how the Cub goes together, you only really have two options at this point. You have an airplane and you have a battery. And the battery goes into the compartment here, plugs in there, Velcro holds that thing in. And then once that's done, you can actually set the center of gravity. I'll actually have a follow-up video showing a cool tip I learned on a really good way to set these things up for checking center of gravity. So before I can go out and fly the airplane, a couple things have to happen first. One, we've got to check the center of gravity, which this spar underneath here actually is where the center of gravity is located, so it makes it a real nice, easy thing to see. The other thing is, after it's been bound to my DX4e transmitter, I'm going to power it up, but not touch the throttle. I want to make sure I activate the control surfaces, and then go through and make sure that all the surfaces are aligned properly. From what I've seen on this one already, in fact, I've already done some of this work ahead of time, so I hope to fly it tonight, but the weather didn't cooperate. The elevator was actually out of alignment to the horizontal stabilizer, and the rudder was also out of alignment. And to align the control surfaces, you either pinch this together or you spread it apart with needle nose pliers, and that's the same for the ailerons as well as for the rudder and tail wheel. So there's really not much to this aircraft. It is pretty simple. I mean, you don't have a lot in the box. It's just an airplane, a battery, and a battery charger. So that's really about it as for unboxing and getting ready to fly. But it is important that you do the pre-flight checks before you actually go out and fly. I can see a lot of videos on YouTube where you get the thing at the hobby shop, you charge up the battery, off you go, and you stuff the thing into the ground, and you realize that in the very beginning of the video you can see that the elevators are not aligned to the stabilizer properly, or the rudder is off, or some other function isn't set up properly, or the center of gravity is off. So take the time. It doesn't take very long, but take the time before you go out for your first flight. Check everything out beforehand, and you'll enjoy a lot more flying from the airplane that way instead of fixing it after the first crash. So that wraps up the unboxing of the Horizon Hobby Hobbyzone Sport Cub S2.